Although we're in the middle of this alleged ceasefire, from a military perspective, you look back in history, ceasefires do crop up every now and again, but they're incredibly complicated. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of soldiers spread over hundreds of kilometres of front line. Coordinating and making sure everybody agrees the terms, negotiating it, is incredibly difficult to do. And besides, back in December 14th, the Kremlin said that there was going to be no ceasefire for Christmas. So the very fact that Putin announces this with 24 hours to go, it has no credibility in reality. It's almost certainly being played for a domestic audience. It's worth pointing out, of course, that Putin, exactly as Alex said, Putin's military desperately need a break from the fighting. They're on the back foot, they're being hit, they need to reconsolidate, etc. So it's no doubt that it's being dismissed. And there's a lot of hypocrisy, I think, here. If you look back, the Ukrainians, the civilians were being targeted by the Russians over Christmas and New Year. The only people that the Ukrainians can fight is the Russian military. And now they're asking for a ceasefire to respect a different religious festival. It's gross hypocrisy, and it's no doubt that that's why, one of the reasons Zelensky is not going to honour it.
OK, all right, so perhaps no surprises there. Ukraine also receiving some armed vehicles from the US, Germany and France. How significant is that? Yeah,
it's the latest package of aid. I think we've got a picture of the French AMX here. It's not tanks, it's armoured vehicles for transporting soldiers around. The French are giving the AMX, Americans are giving the Bradley. They're manoeuvre platforms. They allow the Ukrainian soldiers to move very effectively around the battlefield, add an element of surprise. Zelensky has asked for tanks in the past. That's a bit problematic because they're incredibly complicated machinery, lots of different spares, different sizes of ammo that he doesn't have. And besides, Zelensky famously described that the biggest donor of tanks to Ukraine is Russia itself, because it's been abandoning them. And of course, if it's got tanks given to it that it's used to operating, it has the spares, it's much more useful. But these armoured vehicles, they will undoubtedly help protect Ukrainian lives. They'll provide more intelligence on the battlefield, but they're not empty shells. They are full of complicated equipment. Therefore, they're going to take some training to get them to be able to be used properly, and that will take time.
All right, and just a lightning tour around Ukraine, if you would, to tell us where the flashpoints are.
Yeah, the really quick updates. Up in the north, P66, just north of Svatova, that's where the Russians are resupplying their effort. The Ukrainians are using Western weapons to target that. And if we look at Bakhmut, fighting continuing, ground to a halt. The Wagner mercenary group have been throwing soldiers at that, but it's urban warfare. Every building is a fortress. They've actually ground to a halt. Wagner Group now are complaining, blame game starting, saying that Russia hasn't provided enough equipment and ammunition. Harsh reality is it's incredibly difficult. So despite the fact it's winter, despite the fact that there's meant to be a ceasefire, this war grinds on.